Hello fellow manga readers and welcome to a video that is not a haul for once. That's right, today I'm going to reveal my top 9 favorite manga to you guys. I saw this idea pop up on the last episode of Trash Taste and I saw this question many times in my comments and in my Discord, link in the description. So I thought it would be a good idea to make a video out of it. Now this list will consist of only manga, so no light novels, and I'll go in depth on each manga so you get a good idea of what it's about. Now in no particular order, here are my top 9 favorite mangas, starting with 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. Originally printed from 1999 to 2006 by Viz Media in 22 signature editions and now printed in 11 2-in-1 perfect editions. As you can see, we have this beautiful mystery drama on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. As the 20th century approaches its end, people all over the world are anxious that the world is changing, and probably not for the better. Kenji Endo is a normal convenience store manager just trying to get by. But when he learns that one of his friends going by the name Donkey has suddenly committed suicide and that a new cult led by a figure known as Friend is becoming more notorious, Kenji starts to feel that something isn't right. With a few key clues left behind by his deceased friend, Kenji realizes that this cult is more than he ever thought it would be. Not only is this mysterious organization directly targeting him and his childhood friends, but their whole world also faces a grave danger that only the friends have the key to stop. Kenji's simple life of making ends meet is flipped upside down when he reunites with his childhood friends, and together they must figure out the truth of how their past is connected to the cult, as the turn of the century could mean the possible end of the world. Now imagine you had a group of friends and you made up a conspiracy theory about how the world will end. Later the theory actually comes true and now your friends are framed as the culprit. Now you need to save the world while proving the world wrong and finding out who the villain is. If that doesn't sound like a great story, I don't know what to tell you. I've read 10 out of 11 perfect editions so far, and there will also be a perfect edition for the sequel, which is 21st Century Boys. They are $20 for each perfect edition, and I would say it's well worth that price. Let's get to the next manga. And the next manga is Vagabond. It's by Takehiko Inoue, originally printed from 1998 to 2015 by Viz Media in 37 signature editions. Now printed in 12 3-in-1 Viz Big editions, and we have this beautiful historical samurai manga on this list. First I'll tell you what it's about. In 16th century Japan, Shinmen Takezo is a wild, rough young man in both his appearance and his actions. His aggressive nature has won him the collective reproach and fear of his villains, leading him and his best friend Matahashi Honiden to run away in search of something grander than provincial life. The pair enlist in Toyotomi army, yearning for glory, but when the Toyotomi suffer a crushing defeat at the hands of the Tokugawa clan at the Battle of Sekigahara, the friends barely make it out alive. After the two are separated, Shinmen returns home on a self-appointed mission to notify the Honiden family of Matahashi's survival. He instead finds himself a wanted criminal, framed for his friend's supposed murder based on his history of violence. Upon being captured, he is strung up on a tree and left to die. An itinerant monk, the distinguished Takuan Soho, takes pity on the devil child, secretly freeing Shinmen and christening him with a new name to avoid pursuit by the authorities: Musashi Miyamoto. Vagabond is a fictitious retelling of the life of one of Japan's most renowned swordsmen, the Sword Saint, Musashi Miyamoto. His rise from a swordsman with no desire other than to become invincible under the heavens, to an enlightened warrior who slowly learns the importance of close friends, self-reflection and life itself. Now if you're into a historical series with some of the best art ever seen in manga, this will be right up your alley. I've read all of the volumes so far, but it has been on hiatus since 2015. They are $20 for each Viz Big edition, and I think it's good value for the 3 volumes, but I personally think the singles are far superior since Visbigs tend to have really bad glue and they fall apart out of nowhere. Yikes. The singles are easier to read and the covers are some of the best I've ever seen. Collecting the singles would be easier said than done though, because they're really hard to find and they are really expensive. And let's get to the next manga. Next up is D.Gray-man by Katsura Hoshino, originally printed from 2004 and still ongoing by Viz Media in 26 Shonen Jump Advanced editions so far, and also printed in 8 3-in-1 editions. We have this beautiful shonen adventure manga on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. Thousands of years ago there existed those gifted with the power of God. Their mission, to destroy the ominous evils that lurk in the darkness known as Akuma. Led by the Millennium Earl, Akuma seek to destroy fragments of innocence, the only weapons capable of harming the Earl and his army, and bring about the Great Flood from 100 years ago. To prevent this tragedy from happening, the Black Order was formed as an organization dedicated to fighting the Earl. They recruit exorcists, those with the inherent ability to accommodate innocence, to fight against the Akuma. In the late 19th century, Alan Walker, a white-haired boy armed with innocence that take the form of his entire left arm and a cursed eye that can see Akuma, is sent to the Black Order. There, Alan meets various comrades from the Order. The mercurial Yu Kanda, the kind-hearted Lenali Lee, and the cheerful yet mysterious Levi. Despite their different personalities, they have one goal in mind: to bring salvation to the souls of Akuma and prevent the Earl from destroying the world. Now, normally I'm not that into the mainstream shonen series, but this one is different. To me, D.Gray-man is a mix between Naruto and Berserk. There's quite a lot of action and it's very dark at times, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm at the 17th volume so far, so I've still quite a lot to read, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Volume 27 is expected to come out in July. Now this was it for D.Gray-man, let's get to the next manga on the list. And it is by far the smallest and oldest, and it is Lone Wolf and Cub by Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima. Originally printed from 1970 to 1976 by Dark Horse in 28 of the smallest manga you've ever seen, and also printed in 9 3-in-1 editions in 2013, we have this beautiful historical samurai manga on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. Ito Ogami has very little left to live for, though once the shogunate's chief executioner, his name is left in ruins after being framed for treason by the treacherous Yagyu clan, seeking to steal his position of power. His misfortune does not end here, however. They culminate in the brutal murder of his entire family, including his wife Azami, with only his child Daigoro still left alive. With dishonor upon his head and his beloved wife in the grave, Ito takes a new mantle as an assassin for hire. Alongside his new son, Ito wanders the country in search of revenge, with only the complete destruction of the Yagyu clan on his mind. As he travels the land, the number of his successful assassinations quickly grows, and soon the moniker of Lone Wolf and Cub becomes infamous across the land as the choice assassin to get the job done right. This legendary classic of a revenge story also has an amazing art. At the start of each chapter you get a few pages with some kind of water painting effect, and it just looks stunning overall, while also being easy to follow. At times it feels like you're reading short stories with people Ito Ogami crosses on his path to Maifumado. One thing, these volumes are really hard to find. They're also a bit hard to read since they are so small. It did give me a headache in the first few volumes. Finally, there's also a sequel by Dark Horse in regular size, some of which are hard to find. If you want to know more, please subscribe and turn on notifications because there's a review coming soon. Next up is Pandora Hearts by Mochizuki Jun. Originally printed from 2006 to 2015 by Yen Press in 24 single volumes, and also printed in a beautiful Pandora box in 2017. As you can see here, we have this beautiful supernatural mystery manga on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. Reminiscent of a broken toy box, the mystical abyss is a terrifying realm home to monstrous creatures called chains. Most believe it to be only a fairy tale, used to scare children who misbehave. Os Vesalius, the cheerful and mischievous heir of the noble Vesalius family, is one of such individual, until, at his coming of age ceremony, the mysterious Baskerville clan inexplicably arrives and condemns him to the abyss for a sin he didn't commit, nor knows nothing about. Oz then forms a contract with Alice, a unique chain who can take on human form in an attempt to escape from the abyss. Pandora Hearts follows the young boy's struggle to unravel the mysteries behind his sin, the abyss, and a tragedy from 100 years ago. Soon, Oz and his companions will find themselves confronted by the Baskervilles and ghosts from the past as he makes his way home in a journey plagued by relentless despair. Now, I love the way Pandora Hearts tells its story. It starts without an introduction, getting right into the story. You won't understand it at first, and you'll get a lot of flashbacks in the story, after which the puzzle pieces come together in one amazing story. The singles are getting hard to find, and the box set is like even harder to get your hands on. I personally had the singles complete first and then sold them to get the box set. If you can get a good deal on the box set, I would recommend getting that, because the box set is really high quality, and the Pandora box editions are some of the best looking volumes in my collection. Let's get to the next manga. Next up is To Your Eternity by Yoshitoki Ojima, the same mangaka that wrote A Silent Voice. Printed from 2016 and still ongoing by Kodansha in 13 single volumes so far, we have this supernatural drama on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. It, a mysterious immortal being, is sent to the earth with no emotions nor identity. However, it is able to take the shape of those around that have a strong impetus. At first it is a sphere, then it imitates the form of a rock. As the temperature drops and snow falls atop the moss, it inherits the moss. When an injured lone wolf comes limping by and lays down to die, it takes on the form of the animal. Finally, it gains consciousness and begins to traverse the empty tundra until it meets a boy. The boy lives alone in a ghost town, which the adults abandoned long ago in search of the paradise said to exist far beyond the endless sea of white tundra. However, their efforts were for naught, and now the boy is in a critical state. Acquiring the form of the boy, it sets off on a never-ending journey in search of new experiences, places and people. Now, this manga is the embodiment of character development. It's almost like how machine learning works, learning from its mistakes. This is actually the first manga I've ever read, which means it has a special place in my heart, and is getting an anime adaptation in April this year. If you want to read the manga, volume 14 comes out in June. If you're looking for an amazing drama story with the amazing art of A Silent Voice, then you should definitely give To Your Eternity a try. Next up is Dead Dead Demons Dededede Destruction by Inyo Asano, the same mangaka that wrote Goodnight Pun Pun. Printed from 2014 and still ongoing by Viz in 8 signature editions so far, we have this slice of life sci-fi drama on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. When you look up at the sky, what do you see? A blue sky? Freedom? A hopeful future? The people of Tokyo see none of these. Instead, an ominous alien mothership looms overhead, engulfing the city skyscape. 3 years ago, they came. The arrival of the invaders sparked the greatest war humanity ever faced, one that threatened to end the world. The Japanese government scrambled to fight the invaders. Weapons were mass-produced, sparking controversy and pacifist movements. That day, everything changed, and yet nothing has changed. Koyama Kadode and Nakagawa Oran live their final days like they always have, going to school, playing with friends, and doing what any carefree high school girl would do. As they grow up, they come to learn what it truly means to be an adult, in a world where adults seem to be demons who only deceive and destroy. They come to learn that the real threat to humanity is not the invaders, but humanity itself. Now, it starts out pretty slow, like a slice of life would, but it's still pretty enjoyable because of the humour and of course the amazing art. The best part about this manga is how you initially think that the invaders come from the mothership, that those are the demons, but later down the line you see that humans are actually the demons and that the invaders live just like the humans do, not threatening humanity at all. I really love the story behind it all, and I'm really stoked to pick up volume 9, which comes out this month. Next up we have Vinland Saga by Matoko Yukimura, the same mangaka that wrote Planetes. Printed from 2005 and still ongoing by Viz, and 11 2-in-1 hardcovers so far. We have this seinen Viking drama on the list. First, let's tell you what it's about. Thorfinn, son of one of the Vikings' greatest warriors, is among the finest fighters in a merry band of mercenaries run by the cunning Askeladd, an impressive feat for a person his age. However, Thorfinn is not part of the group for the plunder it entails. Instead, for having caused his family great tragedy, the boy has vowed to kill Askeladd in a fair duel. Not yet skilled enough to defeat him, but unable to abandon his vengeance, Thorfinn spends his boyhood with the mercenary crew, honing his skills on the battlefield among the war-loving Danes, where killing is just another pleasure of life. One day, when Askeladd receives word that Danish Prince Canute has been taken hostage, he hatches an ambitious plot, one that will decide the next King of England and drastically alter the lives of Thorfinn, Canute and himself. Set in 11th century Europe, Vinland Saga tells a bloody epic in an era where violence, madness and injustice are inescapable, providing a paradise for the battle-crazed and utter hell for the rest who live in it. Now, it is a great Viking revenge story with an amazing anime adaptation. The art is also one of the best I've ever seen, and the characters and the world are really interesting. Omnibus 12 comes out in June. Now, for the last entry on my list, I actually want to pick a light novel. However, there were too many great light novels to pick from, and I haven't read most of them yet. Once I've read a bit more light novels, I'll give you a separate top 9 for that. Right, without any further ado, let's get to my last entry on the list. And without a surprise, it is of course Berserk. Good luck finding a top 9 manga list without Berserk on the list, because it's one of the highest rated manga ever. In fact, on my anime list it's ranked number 1 by a landslide with a humongous score of 9.35 out of 10. Berserk started in 1989, still ongoing in 40 regular Dark Horse volumes so far, and also 6 deluxe editions. As you can see here, just over there. Now let's talk about what this dark fantasy adventure story is about. Guts, a former mercenary also known as the Black Swordsman, is out for revenge. After a tumultuous childhood, he finally finds someone he respects and believes he can trust, only to have everything fall apart when this person takes away everything important to Guts for the purpose of fulfilling his own desires. Now marked for death, Guts becomes condemned to a fate in which he is relentlessly pursued by demonic beings. Setting out on a dreadful quest riddled with misfortune, Guts, armed with a massive sword and monstrous strength, will let nothing stop him, not even death itself, until he is finally able to take the head of the one who stripped him and his loved one of their humanity. Now, I've personally read the 6 deluxe editions, so 18 volumes in total, and this definitely deserves a spot on the list. From the amazing art to the masterfully written characters and the breathtaking story, I can't wait until Deluxe 7 comes out in March. It'll be a great sacrifice of the funds in my wallet. Now, this was my top 9 manga. Do you want to see my top 9 favorite anime as well? Then please get subscribed and click the bell icon, because that video will be coming soon. If you want to share your top 9 with other manga readers, please do so in the comments or join our Discord. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!